Hello, everybody. Happy December. This will probably be my last episode of the year. Holy crap. I thought about doing something like tying up the 2024 season or like intentions going into 2025. And maybe I'll do an intentions for the first episode of 2025. But for now, I feel like, I don't know, maybe you guys weren't really interested in listening to that kind of stuff. But at least at this point, which it's still the beginning of December, so I very well could change my mind and make a wrap up of this year. But here it is. It was a great year. It was another good year. It was always a good year. There's challenges, there's ups, there's downs, there's progress. I launched my merch this year. Last year I did presets. This year I did merch. It's been pretty fun. So I feel like that's all I really have to say besides just like the normal podcasting, mentor sessions, shooting and editing, obviously. So that's kind of my wrap up of 2024. Maybe if I feel more inspired, I'll do or record another episode. But other than that, maybe there'll be a 2025 like intentions, goals, all of that kind of stuff. But for now, this might be my last one of 2024. So I hope your year was great. I hope your season was great. I hope you have a good holiday, whatever it is you celebrate. And I'll see you in the next year, which sounds like I'm ending the episode. I'm not, but it's just crazy to think about. It's 2020 soon. Oh my gosh. Anyways, before we end the episode, because we have to have an episode to end before we end it, today's episode, we're going to be talking about posting every single session on your feed. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? We're going to talk about it. There's many deciding factors that go into it. The answer is yes. The answer is also no. The answer is whatever the hell you want to do. Just because it's your business, you can do what you want. That's kind of like the moral of the story. I feel like I say that on every episode about every topic. You do whatever the heck you want to do. But that's the greatest thing about it, is that you really can do whatever you want. It doesn't matter what the algorithm says. It doesn't matter what other people say. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you want to do it, do it. But we are going to talk about some pros and cons. So that way you can hopefully make a decision on if you want to or if you don't want to. And maybe you'll still leave the episode being like, I don't know. I still can't decide, but I tried. Before we get into it, we are going to do our 30 seconds of silence. And I just want you, because this is going to be a big, important focal point of the episode, I really want you to put yourself in your client's perspective. Or like, if you were getting your photos taken, like maybe you're getting married, or maybe it's just a family photo and you want to get your annual family photos done. Whatever it is, put it in the perspective of being the client. You go to this person's Instagram page, you see all these photos, you love their work. It's so cool to see the family's outfits or all the comments that the newlywed couple is getting and the vendors interacting and sharing with it, sharing the post and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, oh my gosh, this person's awesome. I really want to work with them. And then imagine booking with them and then never seeing your posts or never seeing your photos on their page. Kind of not a fun feeling, right? Because you're like, not like you booked them specifically because you were gonna be on their page, but like it was definitely not a reason to not book with them, if that makes sense. But yeah, just put yourself in that position. If you were the client and you didn't see your photos posted on someone's Instagram page, that sounds like I'm leading you. I might be leading you to feel one way or the other. We are going to talk about pros and cons, like I said. So there are some negatives to posting every session on your feed, and I'm going to get into it. So I will talk about both sides of the coin. But I just really, for these 30 seconds, put yourself in that perspective, because you might think as the photographer, I don't care, but I want you to think about it from the client. Maybe you do care. You don't know because you've never taken some time to think about it from their point of view. So that's what we're going to do for the next 30 seconds, is just be like, oh, like how good would I feel if I saw my photos? How bad would I feel if I didn't see my photos? Anyways, 30 seconds and then we'll meet back up. Alrighty, guys. Well, here we are. I did think of one thing that I wanted to share with you in my recap of 2024. Before we get into the meat of the episode, I did start a YouTube channel and I'm putting these podcast videos on YouTube. You should go check them out. My facial expressions are probably more entertaining on video than you imagining them in your head on your speakers in your car or in your headphones. So yeah, you could watch them on YouTube if you wanted to, or just have them playing in the background to help me get some view counts. That's totally fine too. But yeah, that and the fact that I hope you guys are loving the merch line. If you guys ever want to see anything, I will take requests because I'm making this for you guys. So same with podcast episode topics. Like if you guys want to hear me talk about something, if you guys want to see a product or a saying on a shirt or something like that, message me, because I'm making this stuff for you guys because I want us all to enjoy it and wear it and listen to it and enjoy it and all that kind of stuff. So if you ever have any requests, let me know. Okay, back to the topic of the episode for real, I promise. Okay, posting every session on Instagram versus not posting every session on Instagram is going to impact your brand and your client relationships and your online presence just in general. As I was having you do during that 30 seconds and kind of talking about beforehand, a lot of times love to see themselves on your feed because it makes them feel important. It makes them feel valued. It, again, might not have been a deciding factor of the fact that they wanted to book with you because they see people on your feed or whatever. But like, I know for a fact people have booked me specifically because I showcase every type of client on my page. I've had LGBTQ clients say they can't find anybody who shows LGBTQ work, but they say they work with people, but they never see any examples of it on their page or their website or anything. I've had people who might have been a little bit bigger than what society decides. Oh gosh, why is that word? Society decides. It's hard to say. Is a acceptable weight, right? So people who have body image issues who book me specifically because I work with people of all sizes. I work with people of all races. I work with anybody and everybody. And so by showcasing that on my page, I am making everyone feel welcome. Because if I'm only posting white straight couples, then only white straight couples are going to book me, and only white straight couples are going to feel at home on my page and with me as a photographer. And not that that's not good. Like, of course I want them to feel, I want everyone to feel, but that's the point. It's like, if you're wanting to work with more people, you have to showcase that you work with more people. If you're wanting to be a body positive, LGBTQ, like inclusive, all ethnicities, all religions, whatever, like, you have to showcase that you work with those kinds of people, because like I said, people will book me specifically because I showcase that. So that's going to be good for your brand if that is going to be a part of your brand. But you also, number one, have to decide, is that part of my brand? Do I only want to work with certain looking people or pretty people, or, like, everyone has an ideal client in their head. That doesn't always necessarily mean what they look like, though. For me, I don't define my ideal client on aesthetics, I guess you could say, but more of like how they make me feel. Do they make me feel valued as a photographer? Do we have fun together? Do they respect my office hours and my policies? Are they constantly asking me to change things? Are they editing over my photos? Those are the things that are important to me. It's just like, that's my ideal client, not necessarily what they look like. I'm going to do the pros of posting all the sessions first, because I feel like a lot of people are on the con side. A lot of people are on the, I don't want to post every session on my page. And while there are quite a few cons, there also are a few pros that I just want to put in your head, little tidbits of information. Obviously, increased visibility. You're posting more frequently because you're posting all of your work. So the more you post, the more your posts get seen. It's going to increase your engagement. It's going to increase your views, which is going to increase your leads and your inquiries. So that's like the biggest thing about it, is because you are going to be posting more. Like, if maybe you shoot 10 sessions a month, but you only post 2 of them because, quote unquote, 2 of them are socially, or like meeting your aesthetic session. Oh my gosh, if I could talk today, that would be great. 2 of them are meeting your acceptable standards, aesthetic acceptable standards, then you're only going to have 2 sessions to post from that whole month. And even if you break it up into multiple posts from that one, the 2 sessions, like, that's not a lot of posting. So obviously, posting more just puts your stuff out there more frequently. It gets more eyes on your page, on your work. But also, featuring clients on your feed, like I said, makes them feel appreciated. It makes them feel so valued. It makes them feel so happy. And that's going to improve your client relationship with them. Because I was just talking about this in the last episode. I have pretty awesome clients. I have people who, they don't push boundaries. They don't ask me for too much. They don't bother me. They don't bother me multiple times if I haven't responded. Like, they're great. I don't know if I'm just lucky that way, or if it's because of who I am as a person and I genuinely care for them and put them first. But putting them on my feed, they love it. They share it to their stories, or sometimes I'll like collaborate with them. They'll comment on it. It just gets more traction, of course, because then like they're commenting on it and then they're sharing it with their followers. And then, so obviously Instagram sees that the post is being shared, and then their friends and people are going to go to the post and comment on it as well. And so it just again, gets you more visibility and more leads and more whatever, because they're also sharing it. But they're going to feel so valued by seeing that on your page, because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I know that session was kind of a shit show, but I'm so glad to see it on your Instagram page or whatever. Or like, I was really worried about our outfits, but you posted it on your page, which means you obviously don't care, or something like that, you know? I can't tell you how many times I've gotten that message. I've also gotten people who are like, oh my God, I'm on the Instagram, or like, what, you know what I mean? Which just like, obviously it's just the feeling that they get. That's just like, wow, like they care and they're proud enough about me and my family, or me and my wedding day that I worked really hard on, that they're going to show it off. Again, that is just like, they're going to feel so much better that they're probably going to treat you better because you're showing that you care about them and you're putting that foot forward. And kind of going back to the visibility as well is like, obviously if you're posting a family session, like not only is the family going to comment on it and they'll share it to their stories, and then their family and friends will comment on it. But if it's a wedding post specifically, there's definitely been weddings. Don't get me wrong, there's weddings and sessions that I'm just like, I am not posting that. Like it's gross or it's ugly or whatever. Not like the people were ugly when I say that. That sounded bad. But just like it wasn't my cup of tea. It's not really my aesthetic. It's not really like what I want to shoot more of. But like the vendors worked really hard to make that dream come true for the client. And they want to show it off and they want to post and tag and share. And the client also, maybe that was their dream and that was their vision. And by you not posting it, almost kind of gives a message of like, you didn't do a good job. Like it wasn't pretty enough. Like it wasn't Pinterest worthy. So I'm not sharing that. And it just hurts their feelings a little bit, you know? But again, if it's a wedding, you're going to tag all of the vendors who are involved in it. So it's going to show up on their feed, which means anybody looking at their page is going to see your work as well. That's good exposure. They're going to comment on it, which increases your reach. They're going to share it to their stories, which other people will go see and then come back to your page and look at either that and comment on it, that specific post, or they'll go and look at other work while they're there. Like you don't know how many other bookings that can bring you, or at least inquiries that it can bring you, because people are like, oh, well, I was looking for a florist and I saw that they shared your post on their page and I went to your page and I really liked your work, so I inquired with you. Like you are doing yourself a disservice because you already took all those photos, and that is basically free advertising to have that many more people that were involved in the wedding. The florist, the vendor, oh my gosh, the florist, the venue, the caterer, the coordinator, the officiant, the DJ, like there's so many, the dress designer, the makeup designer, the hair artist, there's so many people involved on a wedding day. Like that's already like 9 people that could see, comment, share, repost, whatever on their page that you didn't have to pay for. You didn't have to do any extra work for. You just posted the dang post and that's it. I also think that posting every session on your feed shows your versatility. It highlights your ability to handle all situations, lighting, people, poses, families, couples, weddings, branding, all of that stuff. It's going to, which I mean, again, this is only going to really, I mean, not only, but like it works for me because I do everything. So I like to show that I do everything because I like to be known as a photographer, not only that can do it all, but like that can grow with you. So I can start as your like couples photographer, like your proposal photographer, then your engagement photographer, then your wedding photographer, and then I'm going to take some headshots for your business. And then now you're having a baby. This has happened before. I have done this with multiple clients where they have their own business or their husband has their own business. So I do their branding and then I do their maternity and then we have a grow with me package. So I'm with them the whole first year of their baby's life. And then they have another baby and I'm with them for that. It's like, I have known these people for 5-6 years now at this point because I do it all. And I love that about my business. Not everybody wants to do that. Totally get it. So whatever you do, whether it's couples and weddings, maternity, whatever, post that you do that so people know that you offer it. Because if your couples get married and then they get pregnant and then they don't come to you for maternity photos, it's because you don't brand yourself as a maternity or maternity photographer. You don't have any maternity photos on your Instagram. So they're going to go to your page and they're only going to see couples, like they're only going to see your engagement posts and they're only going to see your wedding posts. They're going to be like, oh, I guess I don't do maternity photos. Even if in your brain you're like, yeah, it's a couple, like it's just 2 people. So of course I do that. The client's not going to understand that unless they see it, on your page. So showing, again, different lighting situations, different types of people that you work with, different types of sessions that you do. Even if you primarily, like I said, only shoot couples and weddings, if you break the wedding day up into different chunks, that's so many different posts that you can do. You can do, here was our harsh lighting bridal portraits that we did. Here was our golden hour couples portraits that we did. Here was the flash family photos we did. Whatever, just like showing that you're capable of doing it all on a wedding day and showing your versatility and your skill and your craft. And that's why people are going to book you, is because they can see, oh, look at her like high ISO moody, grainy reception photos. These are fun. Oh, look at these shutter drag party lights. These are fun. They're going to be like, I like both. I want both in my gallery. I want a photographer who can do both. Cool. Now they know that you can do both because you have showed that you can do both. And that's still only showcasing weddings. That still could only be showcasing one wedding. So just keep that in mind. Shows your versatility. Okay, now we're going to get into the cons. And like I said, there are a few. And then I'm going to get into like strategies and tips, okay? Trying to keep these bite-sized, just so you know. Okay, cons. We are visual people as photographers, and I think that is one of the biggest reasons that people don't want to post every session on their feed is because visually on the grid, it just doesn't flow. I get it. Or it doesn't fit the brand aesthetic that you've curated. I get it. I will say with all of these cons, I will preface it with being like, depends on how important that is to you, I guess, if that makes sense. Because if you're branding yourself as this like filmy, luxury, high-end, whatever, clean photographer, and you've got like a family session that's like got messy windblown hair, and it's like during a rainy day when you only mostly post like sunshiny golden hour photos, like I get how that feed is gonna look a little chaotic, and you're just like, that's not a true representation of my work. I totally get it. But again, in the long run, you can plan, which is a lot of what I do, is like I can plan because I have so many sessions. I'll just plan a bunch of Instagram pictures or Instagram feed posts, and then I can look at them and figure out a way that they will flow together. I'm like, oh, this one has a lot of white and blue, and then the next one has white and dark green, and then the next one should have dark green with like brown, and then the next one could be like brown and white. So it's like, that's kind of how I like flow my grid, is like, at least I try to make the colors like kind of flow into each other. It might not look ombre or beautiful or like perfectly matching, but like there is still kind of a rhythm, instead of it being like, I try to avoid doing photos where like it's like a dark green evergreen background, and then the next one is like more sunshiny golden hour yellow grass vibes, because then you're like, wait, her greens are totally different. But it's because it was different lighting scenarios. One was evergreen versus one was just like grass. So they're obviously going to edit differently because one's a more blue green, one's a more yellow green. Whatever, getting off topic now, but there's ways that you can do it. And even still, there's times where I'm looking at my grid and I'm like, none of these flow together. But if like maybe, especially with the greens, I can swap one like closer up photo where like the colors will match a little bit better and you don't see the greens in the background, so you don't notice them not like the greens themselves not matching side by side, because I'm switching to a close-up picture instead, and then they'll flow better. So there's always going to be a solution to that. Okay, another con is kind of like the flip side of you having more sessions to post. Posting too much could kind of be overwhelming. I think as long as you're not posting more than once a day, it shouldn't really matter that much, but you just don't want to be posting multiple times a day. And again, screw the algorithm. I've heard so many rules about only post once a day, only post at the same time of day, whatever. I think as long as you're consistent, it's fine. But you just don't, I would think that you don't want to overpost, because I have seen if I post like a reel in the morning and a post at night, or vice versa, like one of them usually doesn't do very well, or actually both of them usually don't do very well. And I'm like, is it because the reel sucked, or is it because I posted a carousel that morning? And like, you'll never know because you posted them on the same day. So just make sure you're not overposting. I think if you are posting every session, again, you can kind of dilute your feed with work that doesn't really feel like it's your absolute best. And I totally understand that, because I definitely struggle with that sometimes, where I'm like, this session wasn't really my strongest session, whether it was like me being off my game, or maybe the kids were just crazy, or whatever, maybe the weather wasn't cooperating, like whatever the factor is, because I resonate with this hard. I'm like, oh, I really don't want to post that because it's like not really a true representation of my best work. If you really don't want that work out there, if you would be legitimately so ashamed to like have someone see that, don't post it. You don't have to post it. It's totally fine. But honestly, even in my sessions where I do my worst, there's at least like 5 photos I could probably pull from it, and like one of the strongest ones as my cover photo, and then just like a static image slide of 5, or maybe a grid of 4, and then one more, and that's it. And that's okay. Not every session has to be a full 10 plus carousel slide, but I usually try to do it, especially if I've never worked with that client before. I will say, if it's a client that I've worked with before and I have posted them on my feed before and I don't necessarily love this session, I won't necessarily post it, because I've already posted them before. I don't feel as bad. because I'm like, okay, which I mean, again, now that I have so many repeat clients, it does happen more frequently because I'm like, I work with the same people a lot. And so I don't have to post every image from every session for the past 5 years I've worked with them. You know what I mean? So they might just be like, oh, well, she's posted us the last 2 years, but not this year. Totally fine. Like she has other clients she's posting. I get it. I'm hoping their feelings aren't as hurt. But again, if it's a new client and I haven't worked with them, even if it was a shoot that wasn't my strongest, I'm like, there's still some good ones out there that anyone who's like looking at my page would still think is a good photo. I'm just only going to put like the 5 of them out there that are like decent instead of all of them. So anyways, here's some alternatives to posting every single session. You could do highlights, like a highlight story. This is another thing that I love is because I do a preview highlight and I do a delivery day highlight. So especially because I'm really good about doing those, I don't always feel as bad if I don't post their session because it's still on a story highlight, either on sneak peeks or on a story highlight on delivery day, or both, honestly. And I also don't feel like in a rush to get to it because I'll just post it whenever the colors work on my feed, or whenever I have inspiration for their caption, instead of being like, oh, well, I delivered it last week, I have to post it now, or whatever. But yeah, I would just do something on an Instagram highlight instead. You could put it on your stories in general, like the 10 images you would put on a carousel slide, you could put on a story slide and just say, here's some highlights from the Fisher family or whatever. And that way they're only up there for like 24 hours, but other people can see it. And you just do that with all your work. Whether you keep it as a highlight or not, at least it's up on your stories. Make sure you tag the client in it so that they can share as well, because they might miss it, because that 24 hours that it's up, they might not be on their social media. So I would definitely be tagging all of my clients, posts, stories, reels, anything, just so that they can see it, they can reshare it, whatever. But that way, again, it's like less permanent because you're doing it on a story. It's going to go away in 24 hours. It's not going to mess up your feed. It doesn't like mess with your like brand identity or whatever because it's temporary. So it's not something that's going to be up there forever, but you're also not hurting your clients' feelings. You're still showing their work basically. Another thing you can do is like basically putting things on your website versus a blog versus like links to your galleries or like sessions and stuff like that and then social media is saved for the most representative images of your brand. Having a place that like someone could go look at all your galleries, like an easy link to go look at all your galleries, or at least like maybe your most popular galleries, highlighting your strongest images from the session on a blog post, obviously picking maybe 1 or 2 of the best images from the session and putting them on your website and in a gallery on your website. Those are going to be good ways too. That way you're like still sharing your work, but you're only sharing the best of the best, which you guys I'm sure do anyways, but it's just alternatives to not having to post them on your feed, but just making sure, I don't know, even if you just do like a fun little website page that's like all of the families that Kaylee Ely Photography has photographed in 2024. And it could just be like a collage blog page with like 1 photo from each family session or something like that. Like whatever the heck you want to do. Literally get creative with it. You're an artist. You can do whatever you want. Okay, so now strategize. We got to strategize, people. If you are going to post things, you want to make sure you think about the strongest sessions, like your key sessions that you have. Maybe selecting ones that do only align with your brand or your goals or your vision. Maybe they have a unique style or location, or ones that align with the type of work that you want to attract. So those are going to be the ones obviously that you're going to be posting more frequently. Maybe you break it up into multiple posts so that those are on your feed more often than like the ones that don't. But those are obviously going to be the ones that you want to highlight. Maybe you pin it to your page versus not ones that you're not super proud of. Don't pin those, obviously. But yeah, that's one thing you need to think about when you're strategizing. But you also want to make sure you find a balance, because you want to make sure you're not posting too much, but you're not posting enough. And I know that's kind of like the Goldilocks zone, the sweet spot you want to be in. You want to post enough to stay relevant and get your stuff put in front of others and get more eyes on it, get more followers, get more inquiries, get more engagement, get more reach, all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to post so much that it just is overwhelming and people unfollow you because they're tired of seeing your stuff all the time. I would definitely ask, this is kind of going without saying, like permission for your clients. I have it in my contract that I can post on social media. Very rarely have I had people say that they don't want things posted on social media, but obviously don't post it on social media if people don't want it posted on social media. Just saying, it's kind of obvious, but especially if it's something sensitive like boudoir, just making sure you have like that explicit permission to post those photos on your page is just very important. You never want to make anybody mad. But yeah, I would say something last to remember is that Each post is going to reflect your brand and who you are as a person and the kind of work that you do. It's okay to be selective about it. It really is. Like I said, there is no right or wrong answer. It's really whatever you want to do. I just like to consider the feelings of others before I say just straight up no without considering it. If you want to know what I do, I kind of did talk about it a little bit. I pretty much post every session. It does make me behind a little bit. Sometimes I'm posting like August photos, like sessions from August in like December, but it's okay. Or sometimes I'll have to wait until like the spring to post something from August because I'm like, okay, we're in the winter. I'm not going to post that yet. But it's honestly just like I prefer that because I know the way it makes me feel. If I see myself on someone else's feed, it makes me happy, and I love interacting with it and sharing it as well. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, you don't have to post everything if you don't want to. You want to make sure that you're attracting the people that you want to attract. So you can be selective with it. You can post what you want to post and post what you don't want to post. I would always give it a try. Like I said, even if you're only posting a few images from a session that you think tanked, what if you are just being hard on yourself? You know what I mean? What if you post those and it goes viral and everybody's like, these are the best ever. Oh my gosh, how did you do it? Like, you never know until you post. You never know what kind of booking that's going to give you, because what if the family also thought that was a really crappy shoot? Because again, maybe the kid was just going bonkers, right? And you did what you could, but you still posted, even if it's 3 of their photos, and then they're going to share the crap out of it. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so glad you did that. Now all my friends and family want to book with you because you were just so nice. And like, even though our kid was crazy, you still showed up, you still did great work, you still posted it on Instagram. Like, we just feel very valued, and we're going to be back next year. So you're just creating you're establishing a better relationship with them in the long run. So that's just me. I like to make people happy. And in my eyes, it's just Instagram. I've said this multiple times. Instagram is not where you should be picky about your images. I mean, be picky, but to an extent, you know? Your website is where you really want to be picky and only show the best of the best. Instagram, it's social. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to not think about it as much. It does get seen a lot more than your website, so I can see why people overthink it a lot, but like, it's meant for sharing, it's meant for commenting, it's meant for interacting, it's meant for stuff like that. You're supposed to have fun with it. You're supposed to showcase and stay relevant and show that you're still working. This is my new work versus like websites only get updated every so often. So it might have work from 2 years ago on there or 1 year ago on there. So I don't know. I try not to take social media too seriously. I try to just like to have fun with it, show up, post, comment, share, make a funny reel, make people laugh, make people happy, make people share their photos with other people. That's the goal, at least for me. I don't really care about how my feed looks or if it's a session that I wasn't super proud of. I'll only post what I think are the best of the best from that session. So I hope that helps. I will be rooting for you, and tell me if you try posting some stuff that you would not have normally posted just to see how it goes, and I will go comment on it and share it and hype you up and all the things. Just send it to me in my messages. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, you know I'm always here to chat. Other than that, I'll probably see you in the next year, guys. I mean, I will see you in the next year, but I don't know if I'll see you, talk to you before now and then. So I hope you have a great holiday season, and we will chat later. Bye, y'all.